It's NFL Week 1 picks, but there's a tradition. So if you're watching this for the first time, we can't do anything without some intro music. So Raj, bring us in.
NFL Week 1. Pick 'em time.
It only gets
Don't
better
give me
with
that deep
age,
breath.
people.
Don't give me that deep breath.
Oh man, we have been so into college football
Yes.
and going crazy that I think a lot of people think that we probably don't even care about the NFL. So
Yeah.
we still have to throw it off our NFL picks. This space will also be used to give you fantasy football updates as we go along. Raj and I are in a league this year with several friends.
Hold on. Speaking of this league, Herb politely reminded me. I'm sorry. Before we get on the show, Herb politely reminded me that I got a C as far as my draft grade. Herb, for all the listeners, what was your draft grade for your team?
I don't remember because I haven't checked the heat.
You can't lie. What was your draft grade?
It was an A.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, but what people also need to know is I got Jamar Chase. He might not even play week 1. So I am, as always, when it comes to NFL, I am the dummy. So outsmarted myself. I got Jamar Chase. And
you outsmarted yourself by getting an A as a draft grade. Wow.
Yeah, in theory, it's great. But if my number 1 pick doesn't even play, then who cares?
Anyway,
yes.
Whatever.
So, in later weeks, we'll probably have these picks up on the screen so you can see. But for right now, this is this. Also, what's on stake? We are going to keep track of the scores every week.
Yes.
And
what is on stake?
At stake, the loser has to buy the winner a shirt from his favorite team. So for purposes of this, I would have to buy Rodg a Miami shirt.
Yep.
Rodg will have to buy me a Texan shirt. Unless the Eagles do better, then I'll pick an Eagles shirt.
Okay, come on now. You have to pick a team.
I'll go with the Eagles.
Okay, Eagles. I will buy you some Eagles merch.
Yes. You'll buy me some Eagles merch. Yes. And then
you still wear a size small in shirts, correct?
Only if you wear an XS, like for extra stupid.
Let's just get on with the picks. We are getting off to a rocky start here. All right.
We did have them up on the screen, but they were too small and we're old, so we're just gonna read out them. We'll work on that for another week, but for right now, you're just getting these picks like this. So we're starting off with the Thursday night game.
Yes,
Baltimore at KC, the AFC rematch.
Yep,
from the one that determined who went to the Super Bowl. Rod, what do you got? Kansas City currently favored by 3.
Kansas City's currently favored by 3. However, I feel like this game is going to be the start of the Baltimore Ravens revenge tour. Obviously, they picked up Derrick Henry in the offseason to kind of help out with the run game. Look for Baltimore to kind of utilize him throughout the game, to get him some touches so they can kind of establish that. Obviously, Lamar Jackson. He's the reigning NFL MVP. I think the Ravens are going to outplay the Chiefs, and I picked the Ravens to win this game.
Yeah, it's kind of like last year with Detroit coming out and catching them early. It's like you said, the Derrick Henry addition. Baltimore doesn't forget to run this one. Kansas City, you can tell they don't care as much about the regular season. Not that they're like, oh, let's throw a game, but they're like, look, all I got to do is make it to the playoff. I feel like this game will matter way more to Baltimore than it will to Kansas City.
I agree 1,000%.
I'm also picking Baltimore to win this game.
Yep.
So scary that we're already agreeing. So
I mean, to your point, though, I just feel like Baltimore has more to prove. Kansas City's like, we can drop a few games, we'll still make it to the playoffs and do some damage there. So
I feel like, and I said this in one of on Mr. U shows, his SWX thing. The X factor for Kansas City this year is trying to three-peat. Everyone is going to be after you even a little bit more than last year too. So I think this could be a tough year mentally for them as well. Now they got Patrick Mahomes. You got the best quarterback in the league. I think he'll do his damage. But game 1, I'm going with Baltimore.
Same here.
All right, that brings us to Brazil and Friday. Are you going to this game? Are you flying to Brazil or are you?
You know what? I have so much money right now, so I'm gonna wait till about Wednesday, and then I'll probably book a flight Wednesday to Brazil. I don't know how much more the tickets are going to increase by then, but I'll check it out on Wednesday and I'll let you know.
This is my I believe you face. Okay. Green Bay and Philly. The line only 2.5. Philly, you know, they had their troubles at the last year. Green Bay and Philly, it was like night and day how these two teams finished the year. Green Bay on fire, Philly with a downturn. They lose Kelsey in the offseason. Where are you starting at with this game, Raj?
This is actually going to be a good game. Obviously, you said, you know, Philly lost Kelsey in the offseason. They still got Jalen Hurts, but they also acquired Saquon Barkley. I think it's going to be interesting to see if he can put on a really, really good season this year, injury-free. If so, I think that'll definitely help out with the Eagles throughout the year. On the other end of the spectrum, you got Jordan Love. They got Josh Jacobs in the offseason, kind of build up their defense a little bit. Jordan Love. What I think about it?
No, I said I keep forgetting about the Jacobs pick.
I picked. You're going to hear this throughout the season, but I picked him up on my fantasy team. I feel like this is one of those. I feel like Josh Jacobs probably has like a few more good years left in him. Hopefully 2 to 3. And then you may start to see somewhat of a decline in him. But if he can help out the Packers in any way, that'll be great. Obviously, Jordan Love is coming off a really, really good year last year. They won a playoff game in Dallas. With that being said, I'm going to go with Philly. I think Philly's experience is going to help them win this game. And again, I think Saquon Barkley has a pretty good game, and looking at Jalen Hurts to kind of spread the ball out to his wide receiving core. So I'm going to go with Philly in this game.
What are we going to have more of this year? Josh Jacob touchdowns or Rodg fantasy football mentions?
Rodg fantasy football mentions. No, wait. Yeah, Rodg fantasy football mentions. Yeah. It's going to happen several times. Yeah.
Yes. That's the reasoning for a lot of things. So, obviously, I'm rooting for Philly in this one. I would love for Hurts to have a bounce back year from after last year. You eliminate home field by going to Brazil, but I just feel like Philly will start off better. They've got something to prove by the way things ended last year. I'm taking Philly in this game.
I agree.
That gets us to Sunday. Tennessee at Chicago is where we're starting. Tennessee finally kind of entered into the reboot. They got Levis. They got a good receiving core. Chicago, we already know what's going on there with Williams and revamping the basic whole team. I'll start here because I'm making you do first on every single one. I'm going to go with Chicago. Man, I like what they've done. They've supported Caleb Williams more than they ever supported my boy. Oh, who's in Pittsburgh now, Rodg? What's
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. I was like,
they gave him the boot. So
so they support him way more. Chicago, I think, could possibly be a surprise. I'm going with Chicago at home.
Fields is playing on another field this year. This is going to be a good.
I mean, the man has twins, so we should excuse certain jokes, I guess.
This is going to be an interesting game. Will Levis is coming off a pretty interesting year last year. We got to see his arm, got to see him spread the ball around, trying to prove that he's QB1 in Tennessee. Obviously, the things that you already mentioned with Chicago, they revamped the whole team, built him right around Caleb Williams, gave him some offensive weapons. Caleb Williams is supposed to do big things this year. I do think Chicago is going to do pretty decent this year. However, I'm going to go with the Tennessee in this one. I'm going to go Will Levis and his little wide receiving core to kind of give them the win in week 1. Again, I don't think Chicago is going to have like a year where they only win 2 or 3 games. They're going to win some games this year. It's just they're going to get off to a rocky start, but when they start to gel, they're going to look good. But in this game, I'm going to go with Tennessee.
Yeah, and I can't fault that pick at all. That's fine. First disagreement too. Houston at Indianapolis, right? The Colts getting Anthony Richardson back for this year. Houston obviously came from a surprise, won the division last year, won a playoff game last year. Rodg, who are you going with in this first game?
I got to go with Houston. Obviously, Anthony Richardson coming off the injury from last year. Still not really sure what he can do. We know he's got the size, the strength, the speed, arm talent, etc. But I still need to see more of that on the field from his perspective. We know what Houston could do. You just mentioned it. They won their division last year. Got some playoff W's last year. They won, 2 playoff games last year or 1? Or did they just win that one? They won one playoff game, which is still huge. CJ Stroud's first year. Houston's Will Anderson was, I think, defensive rookie of the year. I don't think D'Amico Ryans got coach of the year, but he came in like second or something. I think it went to Stefanski in Cleveland. Houston is just good on both sides of the ball. I got to go with Houston. They just look like the better overall team right now.
Yep, I agree. I do think this will be a tough one. Obviously, Richardson coming back healthy, he's going to be a terror for a lot of guys with his running ability, and Taylor back there if he's healthy. So I don't feel like this will be easy. I feel like the 2.5 line is very justified, warranted. But I got to pick Houston coming out the gate strong, wanting to defend their title division from last year. So I'm going to go with Houston as well. Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Atlanta favored by 3. Kirk Cousins, I think, is playing in this game.
Is he?
But it's also like, if not, Michael Penix could get in there too as well, right?
Yeah.
So none of that would surprise me with the Pittsburgh. They did pick Russ over Fields to start the game, right? So it's how much do you believe in either one of those guys? As much as I like Pittsburgh, as much as I root for them, never mind. I'm taking Pittsburgh in this game.
Oh, wow.
Sure in my pick 'em. I'm sure in my pick 'em I took Atlanta. I'm pretty sure I did. I feel like they have the better skill positions and the better offense. Pittsburgh has the better defense. I think I'm going to go ahead with Pittsburgh and maybe regret it sometime on Saturday.
I don't know if you will. This is a tough one. I think Pittsburgh they got George Pickens, they got Najee. Their question is going to be quarterback. We know what Russell can do. We know what Justin Fields can do. We just don't know if Russell's going to be able to bounce back to some of his younger playing days, or if he's going to still look rusty like he was.
Last year he took an L. Denver. This year he could bounce back.
With that being said, Falcons did get some big offseason pickups with Judon and Justin Simmons as far as defensively. And to your point earlier, I'm assuming Cousins starts. If not, they got Michael Penix, who's ridiculously accurate. He's got a good arm on him. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, etc. Falcons playing at home. You said the Falcons are favored by 3?
Correct.
I think the Falcons cover this game, so I'm going to go with Atlanta.
I cannot blame you on that one. That's all. All right, Arizona at Buffalo. Buffalo favored by 6.
I'm going. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to go with Buffalo.
I was just writing down that you were going to pick Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. The one thing I'm curious to see in this game here is obviously Stephon Diggs is in Houston right now. I want to see the Josh Allen to Keon Coleman connection, see if that works early on, how that works, how that gels. I think if they can gel throughout the season, I think Buffalo has a pretty good chance to maybe win second in the AFC East and try to get a wild card position. And I also feel like Buffalo's window is also closing too. They've come really, really close to the Super Bowl the past few years, just scratching and clawing away, but they keep on getting beat by Kansas City. But let's just start off with this game one here. I'm going to go with Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills.
I agree. For a lot of the points that you said, it's a little too early for me to believe in Arizona, how Marvin Harrison Jr. does out there. I feel like Buffalo's got to look. I mean, it's going to probably take a huge effort from Josh Allen for this whole year, but I will at least take them to the opener over Arizona.
Yeah.
So, New England at Cincinnati. Cincy favored by 8.5. That's even factoring if Jamar Chase decides to suit up or not.
Yep.
New England's just a dumpster fire still. I mean, they're on the rebuild. Brissett is starting over May, which I think is the right decision for right now. Yeah, I got to take Cincy. Burrow comes back, he's healthy, whether Chase is out there or not. I think Cincy wins this one, Raj.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I think a lot of people think that Joe Burrow is going to have like some sort of MVP-like comeback season this year. And to your point, even without Jamar Chase, I'm going to go with Cincy. I think they've got more weapons. New England has been going through a rebuilding stage for the past few years. They're still going to be in it this year and probably the following year. I assume that, and I do think that somewhere throughout the season, Drake May does get the start eventually. I think Jacoby Brissett's just going to take too many hits to get injured. Of course, I don't want him to get injured, but I think he's going to get beat up. Drake May's going to get in, and they're going to see what Drake May can do. But another rough year for New England. I'm going to go with Cincinnati.
Yeah. All right, Carolina, New Orleans. I don't even know if I'm picking New Orleans or just picking against Carolina. But either way,
same here.
New Orleans is my team. I mean,
I'm going to go with New Orleans and their defense just to kind of win this game. That's all we need to say about that. I hope Bryce Young has a good game. I really do hope Bryce Young has a good game, but it's gonna take him some time to kind of get some help there.
Yep. Minnesota at the Giants. I really hope Mr. U is not watching this far because I'm going to go ahead with Minnesota. Darnold is not a great quarterback at all, but I feel like going to Addison and Jefferson, he'll do just enough, and Hawks it out there. He'll do just enough. Giants still trying to figure out what they have in Daniel Jones. A loss is not the worst thing for them this year as they're trying to think about their quarterback situation. Right. They can get off Daniel Jones at the end of this year. I could just see them thinking like, hey, it's not that bad if we lose some stuff. So I'm taking Minnesota for a variety of reasons.
I'm going with Minnesota too. My first pick in the fantasy football draft was Justin Jefferson. So I'm hoping he has a good game. I'm hoping him and Sam Darnold have some really, really big connections because I'll need the points. I know you mentioned Jordan Addison. He returned to practice today. I still don't know if he's going to be ready for game 1 against the Giants, but I still think Minnesota is going to have too much talent, especially defensively. I'm excited to kind of see Dallas Turner get in there and see if he can get to Daniel Jones. That'll be interesting. One thing I will be looking to see is, can Daniel Jones make some connections with Malik Neighbors? That was, there was an LSU wide receiver draft pick from 2024. It'll be interesting to see if they have any type of connection there. But the Giants, this is going to be a rough year from the Giants. They're not going to be a wild card team. They might be at the bottom of the barrel in the NFC East. So again, shout out to Mr. U. We appreciate you, man. But the Giants are going to have a rough year. It is what it is. And I think you even know that as well.
Yep. And like I said, having a rough year isn't the worst thing because you get a better draft pick for your quarterback. Right. So we're both taking this. That gets us into the afternoon slate of games. First one up, the Raiders at the Chargers. It's like one of those who wants the race to finish second behind Kansas City in the division. Right. I'm going with the Chargers simply because they're at home. Harbaugh is the coach. Gardner Minshew is the quarterback for the Raiders. He could go out and throw for 300 yards. Just because that's the kind of guy he is, or he could throw for 100. Who knows?
I like the legend of Gardner Minshew as opposed to just him playing on the field. I just think he's a really cool guy, and I forgot who made the comparison. Was it Bo? I forgot who said that he's kind of like Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's got the art. He seems like the cool guy that you want to hang out with. But I got to go with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I think Herbert's got a better arm, little better quarterback, and again the Chargers are at home, so I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one.
Shout out to Willie and his Raiders. It might be a season again for you, bud. So, Denver at Seattle. Man, I'm just going with Seattle. You do like Bo Nix, though, Rodg. So, do you think
I spoke highly of Bo Nix, although he went to Auburn and Oregon. I spoke highly of Bo Nix. I think he looked good in this past season, especially at Oregon. I think he's going to have a good NFL career. However, I don't think they're going to. Well, hold on. You picked Seattle, right?
Yeah. Do it.
Anti-Herb pick. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Denver. I spoke highly on Bo Nix. I don't think he's gonna have the best game Sunday, but I think somehow, some way, the Broncos are gonna. What's the line on that game? What's the line on that game?
Seattle by 6.
I'm gonna go with Broncos. I'm gonna go with the Broncos.
So I'm just watching DJU throw an interception. So it's like, I might be ahead of you. Sorry. So
I'm not watching the game. I have to watch it in another form and fashion, so I'm not able to do that and the podcast. So
I got you. Well,
yeah. Whenever I do a podcast, I'm 100% focused on the podcast, unlike you. But go ahead.
Oh well, if my choice is watching anything else or paying attention to you, I'm not paying attention to you. Sorry, buddy. Love you though, bro. Love you, bro. All right. Yeah. So you got Denver. I got Seattle. Dallas at Cleveland.
Interesting one.
Interesting one.
Obviously the Cowboys had the contract discussions or lack of contract discussions in the offseason. Of course, CeeDee Lamb got paid. I don't think Dak has signed anything yet, so we're still trying to. Everybody's curious to see what number they reach him with. Some people, I'm kind of lingering right now between the 55 and 60 range because of what has happened to everybody else. Yep. And I think this will be this statement that they make and saying, "Hey, we appreciate you, appreciate everything you did. You're our quarterback. You're our QB1 going forward for the next 3 or 4 years or however long they sign him." So I do think that deal gets done. With that being said, I'm going to go with Dallas. Shout out to my beautiful wife, Sydney. I'm going to go with Dallas to go ahead and win this game on the road. I think they're going to have the better overall offense. Hopefully Micah Parsons has a really, really good game. Trayvon Diggs is back. Remember, he had a torn ACL last year. I think Deron Bland is out, though, for the first 5 or 6 games. Remember, he had an awesome Pro Bowl season last year.
Yep.
So Trayvon Diggs is going to have to cover that part. But I think Dallas is going to win this game. Oh, my gosh.
Anti-Rodg pick.
That was so lame.
Oh, all right. So anybody who does end up watching this video, leave us a comment. Who did the better anti-pick?
Yes,
the anti-Rodg pick or the anti-Herb pick?
Yes.
Gotta go with Cleveland at home. Deshaun Watson has something to prove. Jerry Jeudy has something to prove. That defense is ferocious. They play hard at home. I gotta go with Cleveland in this game to beat Dallas. Dallas, I have no idea. Like, Dallas still has all the talent. You do wonder sometimes if the contract stuff is going to come up to the surface at some point. But for this point right now, Cleveland at home.
And it will be interesting to see if Dallas's O-line could stop Myles Garrett, because we all know Myles Garrett is an absolute monster.
Beast. Yes.
Hey, Myles Garrett, I'm a Dolphins fan here, man. I don't know what your contract's looking like, but listen, they got some sunny weather in Miami. They got some nightclubs. Trust me, I know. Food, whatever you want in Miami. It's much better in Cleveland.
Parsons also while you're at it.
Micah Parsons, hey, Texas is nice. It is nice, but Miami, man. Hey, Myles Garrett, LeBron did it. He won a couple rings. Cleveland and Miami, come on, man.
I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Washington at Tampa Bay.
Who cares? Oh, let's see.
I'm just taking Washington. I don't even care about.
I'm going to go with Washington too. I'm going to go with Washington too.
I'm going Washington. Yeah.
This is funny you said that, but I 1,000% agree. I really genuinely hope that Jaden Daniels has a really, really good season. I liked him. He was cool at LSU. I liked him. He seemed like a good kid. He seems like he could be their quarterback for the future. So I hope he has a good season.
Yep. So we're both going Washington.
Yep.
The Rams at Detroit. You know I love Detroit. Right. I almost ended up with half of their team on my fantasy football team, but
I'm not surprised.
They're a team.
Wait, did you get Jahmyr Gibbs? Did you get Gibbs?
I got Gibbs. I could have got Amon St. Brown, which I'm already regretting not getting. I got Laporta and I got J-Mo.
Okay.
So once I drafted their coach, that's about all
I know.
But I also just like Detroit. They're a team that like I can root for. They also got Branch and Terrion Arnold.
Yep.
I mean, like, they're halfway here in Alabama.
Yep.
I'm rooting for them before those picks. I'm rooting for them after those picks. Shout out to our boy Hoda if you're watching.
Shout out to Hoda
right here for this game.
I'm picking Detroit too, and I hope that Detroit's defense has a monster game and gets a few interceptions because you know why? Because I have Detroit's defense.
No idea.
I have Detroit's defense. One of the main reasons I got the defense was because they got Terrion Arnold, and I'm hoping he gets some PT this season. Him, Brian Branch, and the defense looked good last year. Again, to your point, I'm one of those guys who wants Detroit to win. And I think I already picked Detroit to win the Super Bowl, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm going to go with Detroit. What?
I'm down. All right. Monday night game, Jets at San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers, that Jets defense, they're coming out. They're finally fired up. San Francisco, they got Ayuk signed. Before they have a lot of big contracts come due, this might be one of their last rides. I'm going with San Francisco at home. I just feel like the skill positions will eventually. I trust in a low-scoring game for San Francisco to get a score before I trust the Jets to get a score. So I'm going with San Francisco for that reason.
I'm going with San Francisco too. I think both defenses are going to look pretty good in this game. But again, to your point, I think this is one of those last one or two. San Francisco's got like 1 or 2 more years left in it where they can make a nice little Super Bowl run and possibly win a ring. This might be it. I don't know. Obviously I picked Detroit, but I could see San Francisco making to the Super Bowl too.
For sure.
But San Francisco's got all the weapons. Hopefully CMC has a well, actually, I want CMC to have a pretty solid season, but I have to play Mr. U in week 1, and he's got CMC, so I don't want Christian McCaffrey to have a great game this game. Maybe
this is hilarious.
40 rushing yards and 30 receiving yards. We can squeeze that in, whatever. I don't want him to have a monster game. You already got the cover of Madden 25. You don't need to have a good game this game week 1. So San Francisco, I'm picking San Francisco to win, but I don't want Christian McCaffrey to have a good game.
That's hilarious, but true. So
yes.
All right. Rodg, week 1 in the books. Next week we'll come back. We'll give you guys more picks. We'll give you a fantasy football update. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I think when this airs, it'll be Thursday, so you'll be checking out your games. We'll be with y'all all weekend. You might see some random lives at time, depending on how the games are going and how the stuff is showing. But for the Herb and Rodg podcast, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Rodg, take us out.
Do 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 do. What? Do 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 do. Huh? Do 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 do. Me? Do 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 do. Week 1 NFL picks are officially over.
Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.